people, welcome back to the channel. I'm just Mopar Joe. I want to do a quick video on some torque converter stuff, different flex plates. I found a new flex plate I really like and I wanted to share it with you. You may not know about it, I just found out about it. It's pretty cool. And a little bit about the balancing stuff. I've had people send me like private messages on what do I need to do to switch from 318 to 360, etc. I'm going to try to cover that real quick, kind of show you my new discovery, what I'm going to be using on the Barracuda. Hopefully it helps somebody out. If you look at the end of this video, I made a new playlist that just includes helpful videos for any Mopar lover. So this would be an example. I've shared some, not just from my channel, but from like John Wilburn. I've got some of his on there, a couple of Uncle Tony's, 318 will run, other stuff that you can reference back to it later in the future. Some stuff I've talked about, just simple engine builds and whatever. So let me go ahead and get started with this, and I appreciate y'all watching. Alright, so here's my redone converter that I got from Bill Dowdy. I did a quick video on his shop, kind of show it to you. And here's an old B&M converter that we've had around the shop and used in a million things. It's been in the black truck, it's been in my old orange Cuda, it's been around the block a few times. Let me flip it over and kind of show you. So here's my new converter. This is a PTC 9.5 inch for a torque flight. I'm not sure what the 8 and the SS stands for, don't really know. This was actually for a 360. It said with 360 weights, so we'll talk about balance in a second. This is just the old B&M. I think they advertise this at 2800 to 3200. My brother actually had that in his Charger driving around town later years of high school, so it really has a good stall. You can probably see it, the paint's chipped and flaked off. It may have got a little hot or something, but so this is a 10-inch converter. This is the 9.5, and I think where they're getting that measurement from is this very outside here. Like if you measured from there to the opposite side, they might be the same on both these, but it really necks down to this size. So this one was recently cut apart and redone for me by Bill Dowdy. So you could have a random, there's a number of different stalls in this. The guy I bought this from said it was 4,500 and it wasn't loose enough for his car, so I bought it, tried it, had some issues with it, and got it rebuilt. So anyway, let's flip back over and look at balance real quick. Okay, so this is the neutral balance converter, and it's actually had weights on it before. You can see them where they've been welded there and there. A few years back, I actually bought a converter from Boss Hog Converters. I think it's ACC, and they shipped me a converter. It was supposed to have weights, it didn't, so the guy just mailed me the weights and said put them on. So I looked at a stock converter, saw it was opposite side of that tiny hole there. The weights went right there. So if you need to add weights, you can do that. I tried, like you can see this one didn't have a big weld on it. If you stack a big chunky weld all over it, that might throw the balance off a little bit. I didn't have an issue with this one, but this is actually a stock flex plate that's been drilled and used behind a big block that was running, I don't know, 750 in the 8th. It's not really the best practice, which is, this converter still only, or the flex plate will only go on one way. You see it, it's been on before and painted orange. It's been on before and it's painted blue. Even over here, it's been on something and painted gold. Like I said, this one's been around the block. But as you may already know, if this won't fall over on me here, these will only go on one way. The holes will only line up one way. That's why I like to go ahead and shoot that spray paint on there. That's the way I was taught, and that's the way I'm going to do it. With this converter, my original plan was, let me move over here, stick this behind my 408. The 408 is internally balanced with the aftermarket crank. So it being internally balanced, I don't need weights on the converter. But my plans shifted a little bit, and I'm putting this behind a 360, so I need to put weights on it. No, I don't. Check this jewel out. This was my find of the day here. Somebody shared with me. It is a B&M flex plate number 10236. I don't know if they got any more. Nah. But here's what it looks like. Come on out of So it's 4 6-bolt crank. Obviously, you know, this will only bolt up to your crank one way. And they give you several different options here for bolting it. So that says engine side. It kind of keeps it dummy proof for you. So if we put it engine side, it would look like this. And we line our holes up, which I will mark this later. I don't remember which one it was. Maybe that one. Not quite. So you see where the weights are here? This will actually go that direction, because what it's doing is adding the same amount of weight in the plate itself versus on the converter. So if I want to put this converter behind my 408 later, which I will, that's my plan, I will switch out plates. I'll buy a new plate that's solid all the way around. So this will actually go this way. It's got the big, there we go, big 7/16 bolts. I got some old ones. If I can get them screwing in here. One, two, three, four. And this will actually be a lot stronger plate than a stock style one. I used this stock style one whenever I didn't have much money and I was racing. You can do it. I broke one before, and I think the only reason that it broke was because the converter or something was out of balance. It didn't, the engine always had a little bit of vibration. And at one point, that Boss Hog converter, one of the bolt holes was stripped. Bolt came out, it starts to wobble and it breaks. So there's that. I just wanted to show you those two. So if we're looking at engines, this is at least a 440 because it has the pad. You can see that there. And if you look at the front of this, that is a cast crank balancer. So it's a cast crank, and it even says on here, cast crank, or for use on cast crank only. So what that means is that this engine, if it's a cast crank, is externally balanced. So it needs the weights, or it needs this fancy plate to use with a standard converter. So if you had a 360, I can show you that real quick. See, the balancer looks pretty good until you get to the front of it, and then it has this big chunky weight on it. Now hopefully you can see that. See the big flat ridge on top, and it's rounded and it kind of goes flat again. So that weight itself on it's made onto the balancer, that actually helps it balance the engine, even though this is externally balanced. So you'd have the funky weight there, you get the weights on the converter as well. One last thing I'll show you. So if you get on 440 Source, I believe, you can buy this flywheel. This flywheel has an actual weight that you can bolt and unbolt off of it. So I unbolted the weight when I put this behind my 408 because it's internally balanced. I bolted it back on if it was behind a cast crank 440. So that's a pretty cool piece to have. I think they're pretty reasonably priced, and that'll help with your balancing issues. Okay, so to wrap up here, if you want to go from a 318 to a 360, you can use this plate. Use this plate, use your factory converter, everything's good. If you want to go from a 360 to a 318, you'll need to knock the weights off of your converter. So there's no weights on the converter anymore. And then you can use your stock flex plate that came on your 318. Hopefully that helps, and I appreciate y'all watching.